Live from beautiful Midtown Star City, it's Dishing with Deborah, with your host, Deborah Walters.
Hi. How's everybody doing? Thank you all so much for being here today on Dishing with Deborah. I'm Deborah Walters. Tonight we have a really great show for you with Halloween just around the corner. I thought today would be a great time to delve into the lives of those society considers, well, freakish. Monsters. What makes a monster? How do monsters manage to cope living with daily struggles? How do they adjust to living with humans like you and I? Well, today I sit down with 5 real-life monsters. I'll ask them these questions and more as we begin Dishing with Deborah. Traveled an awful long way to be here with us, all the way from Transylvania. His hobbies include reading, writing, and traveling. And in his own words, he's a night person. So please welcome Mr. Bram Dracker.
What's happening? How are you doing? Hello. You talk about you're so cute. Yeah. I think I know what you said. Hello, I'm so happy to be here this evening with all you fine, beautiful young women.
Apologies to all the men in the audience.
Oh yes, and hello to all your men as well.
Very nice recovery seat. Our next guest is a graduate student just trying to find her place in the world. In her spare time, she volunteers at a shelter for abandoned rats, crows, and monkeys. With a smile as contagious as her laugh, please welcome Miss Maggie Fleming.
Boy, is my broom tired.
Well, you know we offered to fly you here, right?
Yes, I know, my dear. It's called a joke. You ever heard of one?
Oh, you were joking. Oh! No, I get it! Because the Kansas. Right. Well, our next guest is a young man from Pennsylvania suffering from a debilitating disease called zombieism, otherwise known as death. I'm not sure what his hobbies are, as he seems unable to form coherent speech, but I do know that he has a great appetite, so please welcome Mr. George Hitzman! George, don't you think you should apologize to that poor young man in the front row? Moving on, our next guest describes himself as somewhat of a lonely soul. He claims people often misunderstand him and fear him even though they've never actually met him. Please give a warm round of applause to the thing that lives under your bed, Mr. Edward Burton! Mr. Edward Burton! You look great. How are you feeling today?
Great.
How's it feel being on live television?
Thanks for having me, Deborah.
Okay, well, you know what? There's no need to be nervous. You're amongst friends, right? Okay, our next guest you may have heard about. He owned the old cabin in the woods where dozens of teenagers mysteriously disappeared, never to be seen again, okay? His piercing gaze has inspired fear in millions of young children. He's also no longer with us in his living form, so please welcome the ghost of Old Man Johnson. are you with us? If you're with us, could you please give us a sign of your presence? Well, you know what? I'm being told by my producer that Mr. Johnson is definitely with us, so let's give him a hand. Okay. So let's start with the questions. Bram, you know what? Actually, to all of you, thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm sure it probably took a lot of courage to be with us and come out in public.
When I heard about all the throats, I mean, people. That's what we're going to be here this evening. I just couldn't resist to drink. I mean, to kill. Sorry. To tell my story. Very beautiful neck.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's start with some questions, shall we? Let's start with Bram. Please describe to us what a regular day in your life, afterlife, is like.
Well, Debbie, may I call you Debbie?
Sure. I suppose that would be okay.
Well, Debbie, during the day, I spend most of my time asleep in my tomb, while my rats take care of my castle. They're the most productive rats you could ever ask for. They sweep the floors, they dust off the coffins, they make the beds, they even cook and do the dishes too.
Is that so?
Yes, but the real fun comes at night when I strip myself of all of my clothing, turn myself into a very small bat, and fly around the countryside preying on, observing, unsuspecting, keep putting my foot in my mouth. Observing beautiful young women. When I come upon one I am interested in, I simply turn back into my original form, approach the girl, and ask her, and begin to work my magic.
Okay. And how do you go about introducing yourself to these young women?
I can't give away all my secrets, am I right? Am I right, Ben? Am I right? You agree with me? Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. Well, you know what? Do you at least keep a spare change of clothes for when you revert back to your original form?
Oh, Debbie, you're so naughty. Fine. Once I've transformed back into my original form, I simply approach the girl, state my name, and ask her if she'd like to go out sometime. It's as simple as that. 1, 2, 3.
And do they usually say yes?
We never really get that far.
And why's that?
She never has time to answer. I normally bite her on the throat and drain all the life from her. Sorry.
I see.
Yes, but then she becomes a bride of mine for all eternity. But unfortunately, I've recently had to divorce all of my wives. The chemistry just wasn't there anymore. It's best we all went our separate ways. And that is why I'm here tonight, to announce to the world that Bram Dracker is back on the market.
Okay, Mr. Dracker, this isn't really a dating show, so if that's why you're here, I'm afraid you're out of luck.
Yeah. Look into my eyes.
That isn't going to work. Mr. Dracker, can you please get back in your seat? Mr. Dracker, if you don't get back in your seat, I'm gonna open up a window and let the sunlight in.
Fine. We'll go to stupid show your way.
Thank you. Okay, now Maggie.
Oh, yes.
I understand you recently graduated from college. Where did you study?
Oh, I studied at a private school called Grimwort University.
Grimwarts. Well, that's not a name you hear every day, is it?
No, and it's not easy to find a school in America that offers a curriculum in witchcraft. You can find extracurricular classes here and there, but the really best witchcraft schools are all in England and Scotland, and my family couldn't afford to send me there.
Well, I've never actually heard of Grimwarts. How did you find out about it?
Oh, just out of the blue, I got a letter from them saying that I was eligible for a scholarship. So I did my research and found out that it wasn't a scam, and so 2 years potions and hexes. Top of my class, as a matter of fact.
Well, congratulations. What do you plan on doing with that?
I'll let you know that when I figure it out.
You mean you don't have some sort of job involving potions?
I work for Burger King. I did try to brew a potion to make their food healthier, but my manager threatened to fire me should I use it.
I'm so sorry.
Well, Maggie, you know what? Just keep your head up, and I'm sure eventually you'll find something worthy of your talents. Moving on, George. I can tell you probably live a difficult life, what with your disease and all. When did you first come down with your condition? I didn't quite catch that. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was an uncomfortable topic for you. Can you at least tell me how many years you've been a zombie? Okay, I'm still not understanding anything. How about this? I'm going to hold up my fingers one at a time, and when I get to the number of fingers, that's the number of years you've been sick, you just give me a sign, okay? Okay. Have you been suffering for more than 10 years, George? Should I keep counting?
Oh, something tells me he's not quite ready for prime time.
They say I'm lifeless.
George, come on. Are you listening? George, come on, we're on a TV. Come on. George, wake up! George! That was not very nice.
You should have gone for the throat.
It's all right, everyone. We'll just let George sit for a second and calm down, and we'll get back to him later. Okay? Now then, Edward, it's your turn.
Oh, great.
Edward, you don't seem very happy to be here today. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I'm in front of millions, and I've got to deal with these 3 or 4 whatever sitting in that chair, and then I've got millions more watching me on TV. Yeah, sure, what's not to enjoy?
Well, you know what? There's no need to be nervous. No one here is going to judge you, right? If anything, I think being in front of people is going to make, people more accept you. Eventually.
Yeah, good work.
Trust me, it will. And now we'll start with the big question that I'm sure is on everybody's minds. What do you do for a living?
I sleep under beds all day. Every day. All night. Every night. That's all I do. Riveting, huh?
Well, you know what? That doesn't sound that bad to me.
Oh no? Try sleeping under a kid's bed and having him poke you with sharp objects and throw sharp things at you. And then you have his dad come in with a shotgun and chase you out of the house. So now, not only are you homeless, you've lost all your stuff too.
Oh, it just goes to show you how narrow-minded some people are these days.
Edward, my boy, have you ever thought of turning yourself into a bat? I find it makes myself more appealing to the women.
Turning into a bat? Do I look like I have those kinds of magic powers? What kind of creature do you think I am?
Well, actually, you know what, Edward? Forgive me if this seems rude or insensitive, but what exactly are you?
Even I don't know.
Okay, well, you know what I see when I look at you, Edward? I see a kind, caring, young creature with much to offer the world. You just be yourself, and that's all anyone can ask.
Yeah. Keep living like I've been living. That can work.
Or not. It's up to you. You just be yourself, and that's all you can do. Moving on. Okay, Old Man Johnson, I'd like to ask you a couple questions, if that's all right with you. Now, I can tell that being a ghost might have its benefits as well as its drawbacks. Would you like to talk about some of those? Mr. Johnson? Do we know if Mr. Johnson is still in the studio? Can we find out what the issue is on that? Would one of you mind giving Mr. Johnson's chair a little nudge just to see if he's still there?
I'm not doing it.
I'm a gentleman, so I'm going to allow the young lady the honors.
What? You're going to make me do it?
You can thank me later.
What makes you think I want to do it?
Aren't your type supposed to be good with the dead?
My type? What's that supposed to mean? Besides, you and this guy over here, you're already dead. I'm still alive. One of you two should deal with it.
Yes, but we don't have a broom, and you do. You can just poke him with your broom.
Oh, I'm about to do something with this broom.
Maggie, if you would, please just give Old Man Johnson's chair just a little poke with your broom just to see if we get a response. Please.
It's your show. You do it.
You know what, though? It's your broom, and you know how to use it better than I do.
It's just a broom. Just because I'm a witch doesn't make it any different from any other broom.
Just do it, please, and then I won't ask you to do anything else for the rest of the show, I promise.
All right. But if anything should happen to me, I shall put a curse on everyone here.
Like that would make things any worse.
Oh, hush. Ah!
She's crazy.
That's all I needed to know from you. Thank you, sir. Everybody get back in your seats. It's okay. It's good. Maggie? Maggie, are you okay?
Just a minute! I'm just trying to think of a curse to put on everyone!
I'm not cursing her. If she wouldn't succumb to my charms, I doubt there's anything that you could do.
If she didn't succumb to your so-called charms, it's because you're an amateur. I went to college.
Yeah. A lot of good that, did you? Can I get fries with that spell, sweetie?
Oh, the burger in the glass bed I lived under was so juicy and tasty, but I never got to finish it.
No, if it was from Burger King, you weren't missing much.
All right, everybody settle down. This is supposed to be a relaxing and entertaining TV show, okay? Now I'm going to continue with the questions, if that's all right with everyone. I'm going to go down the line and ask questions, and I don't want anyone to interrupt anyone. Is that clear? Good. Okay. Now, what is the biggest misconception society has of you, and how does it make you feel? Bram.
Well, I think society thinks of me as a horrid, blood-sucking monster with crooked white fingers and sharp, pointy teeth. I think it's horrible when society thinks of me that way. I mean, look at me. Look at me. My fingers are perfectly fine. They're not sharp and pointy at all.
That's what bothers you?
Well, wouldn't it bother you if nobody wanted to hold your hand because they thought you had crooked white fingers?
I suppose, but I mean, what about all the others?
The other stuff, it's all true. I've learned to live with it. I moved on. As long as the woman loves me, that's all that matters.
Okay, well, that's a good attitude. Maggie.
I hate it when people splash me in the face with water just to see if I'll melt. All the stereotype in the book.
You mean people actually come up to you and splash you in the face with water?
Yes, they do. They do.
How often does that happen?
About twice a day. I'll be walking down the street, bam! Splashed in the face with water. Or I'll be in a restaurant trying to eat the food and bam! Splashed by some little kid. I wish people would realize that The Wizard of Oz is just a movie.
The broom broke.
Oh no! Give me that.
Just
In real life, if you get a witch wet, we don't melt. We just get really angry. Curse your whole family and your little dog too.
Well, that sounds awful. out your sister Glinda. Seems like it would make a really good show. Is she free around the middle of March?
No, she passed away a few years ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. How did she pass?
She attempted a spell to manipulate the weather, which caused an awful tornado, which caused her house to collapse on her. Well, get up,
Okay. Well, you know what, Maggie? Your family has my condolences. Let's move on. George, are there any misconceptions of you that you'd like to talk about? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. Old Man Johnson, do you have anything you'd like to add? Good answer, Mr. Johnson. Next question, how do you feel about the way society makes you out to be villains, particularly around the Halloween season?
Oh, I love the Halloween season, especially when all the little kids, they realize I'm a real vampire. They go running home to their mommies, which brings them both back to me, to my lair. And by my lair, I mean my humble home. Where the children go, the mommies follow.
I'm going to stop you right there, Mr. Dracker. I don't like the direction you're taking this.
What? I was just going to say I invite them in for my annual Halloween party. We have food and drink and music. My wives were the best party planners you could ever imagine. Right before midnight, we'd all do the monster mash. It was great.
Oh, well, I did not see that coming.
What? You thought I was going to bite the throat and drain the blood of a woman with a child? No, Debbie, that is way too much baggage. You have to remember, us vampires, we live for all eternity. Do you want to live with a child that lives for all eternity? I certainly don't.
Right, I don't either. Okay, well, Maggie, how do you feel about Halloween?
I prefer to stay in with friends on Halloween, because if I go out in public, it's a good, I get weird looks from people wanting to know, aren't I too old to be trick-or-treating? And it's a good chance for people to splash me with water.
That's a good point. Edward, how do you feel about Halloween?
Oh, you're talking to me now?
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure because this kind of skips me on the last question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Don't worry about it. It happens all the time. No one ever thinks about the creature living under their bed.
Okay, well, Edward, would you like to answer the last question as well as this one?
Sure.
What's the biggest misconception society has of you and how does it make you feel?
Yes. The biggest misconception of me is people think I'm going to drag them under their bed and eat them. That is ridiculous.
Is it?
I just want someone to talk to. Everyone's scared of me. I've never really had any friends. I just don't want to be hated anymore. I just want to be understood.
Well, Edward, I think you're a wonderful person, creature, thing, whatever you are. I would like to be able to call you my friend.
Really? You mean it?
Yes, I do. What are you doing after the show?
Well, I was going to go and cry behind a dumpster for a while, but apart from that, didn't really have anything planned.
Would you like to go out for dinner?
Sure.
And maybe afterwards, go see a movie?
That'd be great.
And if you want, after that, you can come stay with me in my apartment for a while.
Okay.
And maybe I can even brew up a potion to help clean you up a little bit, if you like.
I was planning on sleeping under a chemist's bed for a while, so maybe we could get him to help you with your potions.
Oh, wonderful! What are we waiting for? Come on, sweetie! Let's fly!
boy knows more than I do about picking up women. It seems the secret to a woman's heart is not biting her on the throat and draining out the life from her. It's acting like a sad, pathetic, self-loathing teenager.
I agree, George. Amazing what live television can accomplish. True love sparked right before our very eyes. Well, you know what? It's just the three of you now, so we're almost out of time. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add?
Ladies, I'm all alone and nobody loves me.
Mr. Tracker, I already told you this isn't a dating show.
I keep company with rats. I can't go on living like this. Sure, I've treated women poorly in the past, but now I've changed. Now I'm a new vampire. I didn't want to drink the blood, but society forced me into it. I tell you, I'm a new vampire.
Mr. Tracker, this
It's
is...
sad, pathetic, disingenuous, and all words that could be used to describe me in the past, but now I've changed. Now you will all be mine. You will all be mine. You'll be under my control.
Okay, all right,
Everybody,
somebody open
you
the
and
window,
you
please.
and you. Oh, ow! 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 Ow!
Sorry you all had to see that. Now then, George, do you have anything you'd like to add? Any closing remarks? Anything you want society to know about your kind? Well, that was very eloquent. I, for one, will never look at zombies the same way again. And I think that's a really important lesson that we can all learn today, is that not all zombies are evil and frightening, but, you know,